What is the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? In this quote by Papasan, we see a principle that by zeroing in on what truly matters and aligning your actions to that one thing, you will achieve it. Many times in our day-to-day, we're shifting and moving too much to accomplish what matters most. Recently, I had to stop and take a good hard look at my current schedule. In my job as director of Hope Learning Center, I wear many hats. As I evaluated my schedule and my to-do list, I could clearly see that I was pivoting from one activity to another too quickly. I never had enough sustained time to complete my most important tasks. Since I recently heard Jay on a podcast and I'm currently reading his book, The One Thing, I had an idea of what I needed to do. I halted everything, met with my team, and rearranged my schedule in order to focus on the most important things. I still have more arranging to do, but thankfully I was able to triage enough to get me through this scheduling crisis. In today's episode, I will encourage you to do the same thing. Take a good hard look at your day-to-day to be sure that you are focusing on the right things in each moment. Hey, homeschool mom, I'm Erica Sagert on the Intentional Homeschooler podcast with more actionable steps and encouragement for your homeschooling journey so you can confidently and intentionally homeschool your children without sacrificing your sanity. Grab a pen and paper, your favorite cup of brew, and let's get started. If you are feeling overwhelmed by the endless to-do list, the constant juggling act, and the pressure to do it all as a homeschool mom, today's episode will help you rethink some things and focus on the most important things. I will dive into this concept that has revolutionized productivity and clarity for countless individuals. I believe that it can be a game changer for you too. The one thing concept is a simple yet powerful principle that can help you cut through the noise, prioritize what truly matters, and ultimately create a more focused and fulfilling homeschooling journey. Let's explore how focusing on the one thing can bring more peace and purpose to your homeschooling days. So first, I'm going to go over some key concepts of this book. I encourage you to take a look at the book yourself, but in the meantime, I want to just kind of go over some of the key concepts. So this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Papasan, it's a book that emphasizes the power of focusing on a single, most important task to achieve extraordinary results. So, first of all, there is this focusing question. So listen carefully. What is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? This question will help us prioritize tasks, and it will help us to identify the most impactful actions in a certain area, or even for the whole day. So this book basically debunks some common misconceptions. So, there's this idea that multitasking is effective. And especially as homeschool moms, I think, we joke that, we're homeschool moms, so we can multitask. We can juggle many things at one time. While, this can be partially true, it's just not really achievable in the most important thing. So it just stresses that trying to do too many things at once, it's going to ultimately lead to diluted results because our attention is constantly shifting and it's constantly on different things all at one time. So the book will challenge that misconception that we can multitask effectively. It highlights the power of prioritization. So it advocates for extreme prioritization. So this book urges readers to identify the one thing that will have the greatest impact in any given area of your life. So this aligns with the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's taking it further by seeking the one thing within that 20%. This book also talks about time blocking. So looking at time blocking, dedicating specific periods to focus solely on the one thing, which helps eliminate distractions and maximizes productivity. He talks a lot about habit formation, or he likes to use the word rituals. So it acknowledges the importance of these rituals in achieving success, and it provides guidance on building effective habits, emphasizing that focusing on one habit at a time is going to be the most effective. Also, he talks about extraordinary results. So the book aims to help readers achieve extraordinary results by teaching us to focus our energy on what truly matters. So, in essence, the one thing encourages readers to cut through the clutter, eliminate distractions, and focus on the single most important task to achieve the goal, your goal, at a specific time. So, as homeschooling moms, you juggle a multitude of responsibilities. So, the principles of the one thing is particularly valuable for you. So I want to give you some ways right now how you can practically apply this concept of the one thing to your homeschooling experience. So first of all, let's talk curriculum prioritization. So instead of trying to cover every single subject in depth every single day, how about you identify the one thing for each child or for the family's homeschool week? So look at each child, decide what is the one thing that we really need to focus on this week. It could be focusing on mastering a particular math concept, or perhaps there's a key writing assignment or a particular time period in history that you really need to focus on during that week. So find what that priority is for the week and focus on that one thing each day of the week. Now, another thing to look at is time blocking. So we're time blocking for focused learning. So schedule dedicated blocks of time for this focused learning and minimize distractions. So this allows for deeper engagement and better retention. So also it helps to create focused learning zones where distractions are minimized. So during my years of homeschooling my children, there were a few years where we had a dedicated homeschool room. It was just a large closet, but it was like we would go in there, we would close the door, we would put all of our cares aside, forget about everything else going on in the household, and we would have that place to go deep. It was sort of like our bunker. So in the one thing, he talks about having a bunker, a place where you can go where there are no distractions. I mean, we are in a culture of distraction city. So find that place to go where you can really go deep and just cut everything out and focus on your child, focus on what they need at that moment. I think when you have multiple children that you're homeschooling, it would help in a sense to have everybody on the same subject at the same time. So if everybody is working on math, you can be in that math mode and you're not having to try to pivot and shift from math to English to history to science. Get them all on the same subject, even though they might be in different topics in that subject, at least it'll still be the same subject, the one subject, so that you can go a little bit deeper with that. So in individualized learning, you can apply this concept of the one thing by recognizing that each child learns differently. So find that concept, that one concept that they really need. If a child is struggling with reading, that becomes the one thing to focus on. I mean, reading is going to be the one thing most of the time. Once we can really get solid on reading, the world opens up to our children. All right, what about household management? Well, you have household management. With homeschooling, household management is a key factor in being able to focus. So you're going to need to do your daily household focus. So instead of a long list of chores, why don't you identify the one thing that will create the most significant impact on the household? Perhaps each day of the week, you know that you're going to focus on one aspect of the household chores. Thursday, maybe you'll do laundry, like that is your huge focus. Maybe Friday, it's about the kitchen and doing some meal prep for the weekend. But choosing one area to focus on is going to help you to be able to go deep and get that area really taken care of. Meal planning, maybe there's one key meal that you need to work on dialing in and getting it taken care of so that it's not distracting you. Perhaps it's lunch, the middle of the day. If you're spending too much time around that time, it's going to take you away from getting your schoolwork done. So finding one aspect of your meal planning that really needs work and work on that one thing about meal planning for the next week and see if you can conquer it. See if you can get some really good habits or rituals around that task. And think about, as far as your household management, simplifying some routines. So identify that one thing that will streamline your daily routines. It could be establishing a morning routine. For example, I currently have a routine where I empty the dishwasher without fail every single morning. Now, in order to empty it in the morning, that means I have to turn it on the night before. But I have found this simple thing to help the kitchen so much. It's like we can stay on top of the dishes. It's one thing that I make sure that I do in the kitchen every single morning, and it keeps things running very smoothly. All right, homeschool moms, it is important also for you to prioritize your personal well-being. It is not selfish. You must take care of your personal well-being in order to be able to show up for your family. So, self-care prioritization. So recognize that it is essential for effective homeschooling. You cannot give from an empty cup. So identify the one thing you can do each day to recharge. Maybe it's getting up 15 minutes before everybody else does so that you can have some quiet time to yourself to get yourself ready for the day. Perhaps it's not reading or quiet time. Perhaps it's getting in a really good workout. Get a really good sweaty workout. Get yourself cleaned up. You will be energized and will have momentum for the rest of your day. What about personal development? So focus on developing one personal skill or interest. Do one thing at a time. It could be learning a new hobby, reading a book, or just pursuing some sort of personal project. Time block for that project and definitely take some time for some of those personal development activities. Also, build support systems. So recognize that you don't have to do everything alone. So one thing could be to reach out and build a stronger support network. So perhaps your one thing is to seek a homeschool group, to find that co-op. Just work on that until you find the right fit. Or perhaps you just want to create a closer relationship with a small group of friends, or maybe just one family that you want to start connecting with on a weekly or monthly basis. But focus on one thing that you could do to build that support system. I hope this episode has shed some light on how the power of the one thing can truly transform your homeschooling experience. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. Remember, you don't have to conquer the world in a single day. You need to identify the one thing, that single, most impactful action that will move you closer to your goals, both in your homeschooling and in your personal life. I know how demanding this journey can be, but I also know how incredibly rewarding it is. By focusing on your one thing, you're not just being more productive, you're creating space for more joy, more connection, and more peace. You're giving yourself permission to let go of the overwhelm and embrace the beauty of focused intention. So, I encourage you this week to ask yourself that powerful question. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Whether it's focusing on a specific subject with your child, carving out time for yourself, or simply planning one delicious and manageable meal, identify that one thing and give it your undivided attention. You are capable, you are strong, and you are making a difference. And by focusing on your one thing, you'll discover just how much you can achieve. So, you want to homeschool your children, but you just don't know where to start. Or perhaps you're a seasoned homeschooler looking for some fresh perspectives. I've got something just for you. I'm hosting a special free info session where I will tackle the top 3 questions I hear from homeschoolers. How will homeschooling fit into my life? How do I know if I'm doing it right? And will my child be isolated? I'll dive deep into these concerns and offer practical strategies and insights. Plus, I'll have a dedicated Q&A session where you can get your specific questions answered. So, if you're ready to take the next step in your homeschooling journey, join me for my next free info session. You can find the sign up in the show notes. Don't miss out. I can't wait to see you there. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as right here, where a brand new episode will drop every other Thursday. Until next time, you've got this, Mom.